And moving on to our last story we're deciding to cover today, we are talking Maxxxine. Mia Goth says it's the biggest and best movie of the X Pearl trilogy. Yeah, so this was a nice little editorial that they wrote up where they just talked to Mia Goth a little bit. Obviously, she's doing press right now for Infinity Pool. The new Brandon Cronenberg movie, which I'm so excited to see next week. It looks so good.
It looks like
Um,
a lot of fun.
yeah, it looks weird as fuck. But coming out right in time for my birthday. And Mia Goth has just shot up so far on my list of just like actresses that I'm just like, she really spread her wings this year. Busted out of the cocoon, really just showed everybody, she is not here messing around. She is here to play. And X, love that film. Pearl, absolutely adore that movie. It was my number two of 2022. Again, really for a little bit there, it was jostling to be number one, but Barbarian just beat it by the skin of its teeth, just for being such an crazy theatrical experience. But yeah, this is exciting, man. I love her passion for this trilogy because obviously she has a little more skin in the game, literally and figuratively, with this because she co-wrote Pearl with Ty West, so it's like this is kind of her baby, and for her to be coming out saying how excited she is, it's going to be set in the 80s, and for her to say this is the best after what happened with Pearl, that's tall order, man. That's a real tall order.
That is a huge statement.
Hmm.
Especially coming out of you look at everyone's favorite horror films of 2022. Pearl and X were on almost everybody's list, so it's very rare that you get anything like that. We were already excited for Maxxxine when they started releasing that teaser of it already, so we could not wait for this. I think we already had high hopes for this. I'm just curious to see how one's gonna work because it's like looking at X and Pearl. You don't get moments like that where they did X and then shortly after that they wrote Pearl even before X's release. So you didn't really have that kind of expectation. I don't think they were. I mean, they could have had an idea of the quality of these films, but I don't think they were going to have the uh, notion of the impact that it was going to have amongst horror fans. So now you kind of have that expectation, I think, for Maxxine coming out to be like, okay, well, now we got to live up to these first two huge films. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go. Again, the concept seems very intriguing. It seems like they had a very specific story they wanted to tell here, and I love where it's going. I mean, X was such a joy. Pearl is visually just, oh my gosh, it's on another level of a lot of different films that I've seen. So I'm curious to see what kind of unique stamp that Maxine's going to have on it here, because you pick out X, you pick out Pearl, both unique in their own right. They have a very specific feel, each one. So Maxine's kind of come in here. It's got big shoes to fill.
Hmm.
It's got to have a unique flavor to it. Also a lot of fun storytelling, and Mia Goth put on a hell of a performance in Pearl. So I'm curious to see what she's going to do in Maxxine. So this has got a big shoes to fill. I don't think that it's going to disappoint, but again, it's going to be hard to live up to X and Pearl.
Yeah, and she says this is the biggest story of the three with the highest stakes, and Maxine has gone through so much at this point. So that's a lot to say that this is going to be a bigger story. I know a lot of people are thinking because it's taking place in the 80s, this is going to be right on the onset of the VHS porn era, so where the industry kind of changed there, and how they're going to kind of tie that in. I'm wondering if the events of X are catching up with Maxine's character in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
or if there is going to be, maybe a family member we did not hear about, or somebody coming back to handle all that. I don't know. We will have to see them dealing with the 80s and kind of deciding to play on those tropes very similarly to how they did the 70s with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe kind of stuff they took there. I'm curious to see where we go with this, but it is encouraging to hear her say things like, they have such a shorthand with each other and that everybody's coming back. So it's one of those things where it's like, obviously Ty West is going to be there, but I'm sure they're working with a lot of the same crew and, everybody who was behind the scenes making these two wonderful films. So I am more than pleased and excited to hear about Maxxxine. And again, I am excited to see Mia Goth in Infinity Pool this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, and that it does pose an interesting question here because, we're 2 films deep in with X and Pearl here, but this is really the first time that we're dealing with any sort of fallout from these films because we did X and then Pearl was almost hitting that reset button because it took place before X. So this is the first time we're really dealing with any of that character fallout from the events of X. So I'm really intrigued to see what kind of obstacles it's going to bring for Maxine. I mean, time will tell. I don't think they have even a closer release date on this. I don't think it's supposed to be released this year, I'm assuming.
I would hope so, but yeah, I'm not sure. If anything, it might. I think it's supposed to start shooting here soon. But yeah, I would say at best maybe it gets done. It gets done shooting in the spring, and then we might get it by the fall. But that could be wishful thinking. We might be looking at an early 2024.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm excited either way. And like you said, Infinity Pool is going to be an experience as well. I'm just excited to see Mia Goth. More Mia Goth is always great. I think she's already a great actress. I think, in the years to come, we're just going to see so many strong performances.